And thank you all for coming here tonight to the second annual Rockin to Beat Leukemia event. You're just looking around the room, there are so many doctors and nurses and friends and family and people we haven't even met yet came out to support our cause. And we can't thank you guys enough for being here. I guess we just love you guys. You guys are awesome. Now let's put the party aside for just a moment and reflect on why we're all here, and that is AML research. We have several families in attendance tonight that have also been affected by AML. It's an AML, so those of you who don't know, it's acute myeloid leukemia. And I think I'm speaking on behalf of all of these families here tonight when we say we do not want anyone else to have to go through the horrors that AML brings. When your child or your loved one has a cancer diagnosis of AML, you immediately start thinking, okay, well, how do we fix this? So you listen to the doctors and the nurses, and you quickly gain knowledge about the disease, and then you realize that your child or your loved one is in for the fight of their life. And all you want for them is a chance to fix this. But there's so much more to learn about this disease, advances to be made, to have a breakthrough in AML. So, we feel research is what is going to cure this cancer. So tonight, all the funds raised here tonight will go to both Nationwide Children's Hospital and the OSU Comprehensive Cancer Center, Arthur G. James Cancer Hospital, and Richard J. Solov Research Institute. So we have a couple special guests here tonight. We would like to introduce a gentleman that was a true inspiration to our daughter during her fight. And he continues to be an inspiration to us. Please welcome our friend, Mr. Randy Abrams.
Hey, I'm Randy Abrams. This family is amazing. This is amazing out here, all these people here. AML is awful. Like they said, they may not cure me, but maybe your kids can be cured from this. It's terrible. I've had it 3 times. 2 transplants. I don't know why I'm here. I have a lot of survivor's guilt. People like Lou, man, what makes sense of that? It's really challenging. I think my wonderful doctors, Labo's not here, but I've got to be really good friends with him. He was my very first doctor when I got diagnosed and transferred to the James. All my nurses, holy crap, they're just amazing. I've coded a couple of times and they brought me back. It just is amazing, really, but it's awful. It's really awful. It's taken its toll on me quite a bit. But these brilliant doctors are going to figure this out and eliminate it. So thank you guys for all coming tonight, because this is very important to a lot of us that have gone through this. And this amazing family here. It's hard. It's hard. It's tough. And I couldn't even imagine my kid going through this. So I really, really appreciate you guys being here. I don't even know what really to say, but thank you guys. That's all I can say. So it matters. My last donor was almost 2 years ago, March 22nd, 2016. My son was playing college baseball, and he came back to be my donor. Gave up baseball, came back to be my donor. My daughter Lexi has been like my nurse, and Melissa, but I embarrass her. So I'm going to introduce Dr. James Blachly. He is in the clinic, specializes in treating patients with AML.
Those stories were really powerful, and that's really hard to follow. I'm honored and humbled to be in a room like this with so many people that are so passionate about something, and that something is cancer and leukemia specifically. You know, everybody in this room has been touched by cancer, and most of us have been touched in some way or another by leukemia. Even in my own family, 2 of my uncles had AML. And so I'm dedicating my life, like you guys are dedicating your time, to finding a cure for this disease. Before I get carried away, I want to thank you guys so much for asking me to speak. And I think we should all thank the Oliphants, and we should thank all the families and volunteers who helped make this happen tonight, because this is really community partnership events like this are so important to help us make progress in leukemia. When federal funding is at an all-time low, we really need you and you and you to be part of our team. So I was asked to talk about what's going on right now at Ohio State and the Nationwide Children's Hospital and at big leukemia centers all over the country. And that thing that's going on right now, one of the many things that's going on, is personalized medicine. And we've probably all heard about personalized medicine. We've read about it or we've heard it on the news, but maybe we don't know really what it is. And really what it is finding the right treatment for the right patient by looking at the genes. So, you know, what are genes? We're all born with a set from mom and a set from dad, and one gene gives us blue eyes or brown eyes or makes us tall or makes us short. And every cell in our body has got the same genes, except our cancer cells. Our cancer cells make little changes in the genes. And those changes, they don't seem like they'd make a big difference. It'd be like changing a letter in an encyclopedia set. Nobody has an encyclopedia set. In like a sentence in Wikipedia. Out of all of Wikipedia, you're changing one sentence, right? And it doesn't seem like that would make big of a difference. But it makes a huge difference. And that's why some patients respond to treatment and other patients don't respond to treatment. Or why some leukemias grow faster than other leukemias. It's just these little changes. And so what we're doing and what Nationwide Children's Hospital is doing and what big leukemia centers across the country are doing is we're sequencing every leukemia genome from every leukemia patient that comes into the hospital so we can understand those changes and we can match the right treatments to the right patients. So last year, Dr. William Bloom was here, and I heard he talked about a patient who was not much older than Lou, a couple years older, and enrolled on a clinical trial at Ohio State. And as a part of that clinical trial, he was instructed to take a pill for 2 weeks, and then come back, and then you'll get your standard of care chemotherapy. So he did that. You know, he came into the clinic, he got his labs checked and stuff like that, but he came in after 2 weeks of taking this pill to get started on the chemotherapy, and they couldn't find any evidence of the leukemia. It was gone. Nobody had ever seen anything like that. It was unbelievable. So we realized we're onto something, but if we're gonna find more drugs like that, we've got to be able to scale it up. We've got to test hundreds of drugs because you're gonna have more failures than you're gonna have successes. And we have to be able to be nimble and act quickly. So doctors at Ohio State joined up with doctors at Oregon and at Memorial Hospital in New York City, and we formed the Beat AML Coalition. And Beat AML is a way to do these clinical trials very rapidly and test hundreds of new drugs. And if it's not working, yank it. Right? We do away with the bureaucracy and we really keep things rolling. And we've already been able to find medicines that act just like the story that Bill told last year. There's 4 other centers that have joined us. Excitement is growing among AML doctors. We've got 6 other centers that are begging to come on. They're on deck, and we're going to get them on in 2018. So things are looking up in AML. in 2018. I'm really excited. But it takes a really big team to do all of that. And there's a lot of people, all the way from tenured professors to undergraduates working on this stuff, both in the hospital and in the research laboratory. And you guys are part of that team too, because we can't do it without the funding that we get from you. And so I want to tell two stories about other leukemias so that we can kind of dream about AML. There's two other types of leukemia that some of you may have heard of. One is called CML, or chronic myeloid leukemia. The other one's called CLL, or chronic lymphocytic leukemia. And they come on slower than AML, but once upon a time they were just as deadly. So CML affects young adults, and before 2001, it was fatal in just a few years. But in 2001, the FDA approved a medicine, really the first of its kind, called Gleevec. And Gleevec is just a pill that you take for your leukemia. These patients don't get chemotherapy, but it's a pill that almost never was. So the story behind the story is that Brian Drucker at Oregon, who labored for years to find a pill that could target CML, was down to his last grant and an idea that he really believed in. The other cancer, CLL, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, is the most common leukemia in adults. And it's been treatable with chemotherapy, but it comes back again and again, and the treatments get more and more toxic. But in the mid-2000s or late 2000s, a young physician scientist at Ohio State called John Bird really believed in a protein and a drug that targeted that protein. That drug is now called ibrutinib. And when nobody else believed in it, Dr. Bird was able to continue his work with the help of a generous donor. And today, more than 10,000 people every year are diagnosed with CLL, and they're given the chance to take a daily pill, just like a pill for their blood pressure. Unfortunately, AML is not like CML and CLL. It's 20 or 50 or 100 different diseases. As I said at the beginning, we have to understand the changes that make every AML different from every other AML. But we're well on our way to doing that. With the things that I've talked about tonight, the clinical trials that we have going on, things are really changing quickly. Almost 40 years, nothing happened in AML. It was beginning to get discouraging. But in 2017, we had 4 new drugs approved for AML, 3 of which targeted specific molecular changes. 2 of them are just pills that patients can take. And I know about 2, maybe 3, new pills that are likely to be FDA approved for AML in 2018. So 2018 is going to be really exciting. I'm going to be able to say, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. Thank you guys so much. We really wouldn't be able to do this without you. I'm really optimistic for the future. Let's give a big hand again to these guys.